Hello. Welcome
Hello.
to the show.
Thank you.
I've been actually practicing that line.
Oh, you have?
Yes, because it rhymes.
Perfect.
So you and I have been friends for just a short period of time.
Mhm.
In fact, I met you only just a few months ago.
Yeah.
But I'm going to explain today how we met. We're going to talk about your gym. You're the creator,
Yep.
the owner, the operator, the fitness guru,
All
head
the
trainer of
things.
Scorched Fitness. Is it Scorch or Scorched
Scorch. Scorch.
Fitness
Yeah.
on Clark Road in
Mhm.
Sarasota? Great place. The first thing I did when I saw it was I thought it was a chain. I thought it was like Orange Theory or F45,
Yeah.
but it turns out it's a standalone
Mhm.
operation.
I made it look like a franchise.
You did.
Yeah. Tried to, at least.
And the very first time I peeked inside, because you have to get up close to the glass to see what's in there because it's that
Yeah.
special glass. Um, I saw people like working out really hard and moving sleds, and I was like, "Wow, what is this place, man?"
Mhm.
Like I had no idea what it was. And the reason why I came to you was I was at Orange Theory, which is a wonderful place.
Yeah.
I love Orange Theory. I lost a ton of weight. I actually won one of their weight loss challenges. I was the first place winner. So it works.
Mhm.
I was running, I was rowing, I was doing the bands and all that great stuff. But like a lot of people I knew, their injuries, my knees, personally me,
Mhm.
couldn't take it.
Yeah.
My body weight running couldn't take it. So when my membership expired, I went and looked for something else, and that's how I came to you.
Yep.
So tell us about Scorch.
Well, Scorch is a boutique style gym. So similar to, I'd say, some of the franchises like Orange Theory and stuff in the sense of business model, but not workout whatsoever. So Scorch was meant to be a small group personal training, but in a group fitness setting. So you could come in, be motivated, but you also got some one-on-one attention.
So when you say small organized classes,
Yep.
that's like a 45-minute hit training, right?
Mhm.
HIIT hit training.
Yep.
So that is similar to Orange Theory in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The difference though is that, and I call this, it sounds terrible, but I call it HIRT training, HIRT, high intensity resistance training,
Yes.
because we do so much actual weightlifting.
I'm
So
glad you brought that up because
yeah.
that's what appeals to me.
Yeah.
I'm a weightlifter. I played high school and college football, and I've always
Mhm.
been a weightlifter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still to this day, I like to lift heavy. And what appeals to me about your facility is that there's dumbbells, there's barbells, we're doing deadlifts, we're doing
Yeah.
squats, but we're doing short reps.
Yeah. So, and the rep range has changed too. So you've probably noticed that sometimes you'll come in and you'll be like, oh, wow, this week has like sets of 10, sets of 12. And then some weeks you'll come in and you'll be like, okay, I'm doing sets of 5 this week. So we do actually overload and deload in the program. So what that means is that you'll have times where you lift heavier and do less reps. And then you'll have times where you actually lift lighter and do more reps. And the reason we do that is because the body likes to adapt and basically like plateau. So, people like work out really hard and all of a sudden they're not seeing results like they did when they first started. So, I actually program the gym and the workouts so that that doesn't happen to you. So, your body is constantly always having to guess.
That's awesome. We're going to cover all that stuff
Yeah.
about your training and your experience
Mhm.
and your knowledge base because you're extremely bright when it comes to this stuff. And we're going to get into all your schooling and all that
Yeah.
wonderful stuff. But talking more about Scorch, what I like the most about it
Yeah.
is that everybody seems to really get along. Everybody's super nice.
Yeah.
The minute I walked in there, everybody was really nice to me and
Mhm.
the trainers are wonderful. I
Yeah.
mean, your trainers really truly, as you mentioned earlier, one-on-one in a
Mhm.
class setting, which
Yeah.
is rare. People say that all the time, but you guys actually do it.
Yeah.
Like your trainers will actually come up to me and correct my form. And even though I've been, deadlifting and squatting pretty much all my life,
Yeah.
I still don't necessarily have the right form.
Mhm. Yeah. And your form changes as you age too. So your body, you go through stress in life, whether that's physical stress, emotional stress, mental stress, and your body changes and adapts to that. So even though 20 years ago you were lifting a certain way, like your body works differently now, it moves differently now. And so that's where we can and the coaches can adapt the training program to your specific needs.
And I think what's also nice about Scorch is that you have a lot of different age groups in there.
Yeah.
You'll have men and women. You think is it 50-50 men, women, or is it more females?
It's actually 50-50. The class times that you come to are more of that. I dropped my kid off at school and now I'm going to
Yeah.
go work out. But it's actually pretty split 50-50 men and women. And it's been like that since the
And
beginning.
and your age ranges, right? I mean, I've seen high school kids in there with their
Mhm.
parents,
Yeah.
and then I've seen men that maybe might even be like 80 years old.
Yeah. We do. We have people actually up to 82 years old.
So I guess the point is that everybody can move and train at their own pace, right?
Yes.
So
100%.
even though like there's stations, right? and we're supposed to do a certain thing at each station.
Mhm.
Like for an example, there are some things I just either can't do right now or
Yeah.
don't want to do. So I'll just do something different.
I don't wanna do. That's fine. I'm gonna look for those things.
Burpees. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big,
Yeah.
although Cynthia made me do 4 burpees and she said, I'm happy with the four because
Aw,
I did them the best I could.
that's compromise.
Yeah.
See?
I did them really good. Afterwards, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe I did
I'm proud of you.
it.
You're stepping out of your comfort zone.
I am. No,
Yeah.
no, and that's the key. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's three. And this is my opinion. You have to be consistent.
Mhm.
You have to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. Because in the old days, I would go to the gym, I would bench, then I'd walk around and talk to people, like flex in the mirror, listen to some music, then go back and bench again.
Yeah.
So, like, those days are over, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I grew up around. My dad was a competitive power lifter. And so I grew up in like the era of like, go to the gym, like bench, talk to your buddies, bench,
Yeah.
scream a
Take
little
like a
bit.
10-minute,
Yeah.
minute work, rest between your sets.
Yeah, 100%. And there actually is when it comes to that's 100% a good way to train if that's what you're training for. We can get into that another time, but there is a place in the world for heavy lifting and then resting for 7 minutes and then doing it again. But it's more in like a competition sense. So if you're not a competitive power lifter, you're probably not getting the health benefit you need from your workouts if you are resting that much in between.
So I would assume that a lot of folks that come to your facility,
Yeah.
usually like what you did with me, you gave me a free week.
Mhm.
And I think you probably knew when you saw me, right? You gave me that tour.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's go back. So I wanted to join Scorch. So I figured, let me talk to the owner.
Yeah.
Right. So I reached out to you.
Yep.
Because I didn't want a sales pitch from somebody that's just an employee. I figured, let me talk to
Yeah.
the owner. Because I have specific needs now,
Yep.
with my body and whatnot. So I met you, you gave me the tour and you
Mhm.
gave me the week and I tried it and
Mhm.
I fell in love with it. So you knew that. Now I'm a monthly member.
Yeah.
So I would assume that a lot of folks that walk in there usually sign up.
It honestly, if we can get them into their first workout, then they usually always sign up. We don't really have a sales pitch necessarily. One, because I only want people to be there who truly want to be there. Because, like you said in the beginning, the community, you notice that everyone is so nice when you come in and the coaches are great. And it's almost like you come in and it's like you have a community out of nowhere and it didn't take any effort to like become a part of it. And that's because everyone who's there genuinely wants to be there. They're not like stuck in a contract or they're not dragged in off the street and then being told like, oh, you have to do this for 6 months. It's like, no, you want to hang out with us? Like, come on in. And so those are the people, and that's how you build a community. You don't force people in. You invite
Like-minded
them.
individuals.
Yeah.
But as a bonus, you offer free coffee. And all the 9 a.m. the 9 a.m. class, they all like to congregate
Yeah.
before, during, and after class.
Yep.
So like I'll come in for the 10 o'clock class and they'll all be sitting there talking to you
Yeah.
in the waiting room area,
Yeah.
drinking coffee.
Yeah. Because that's what this comes down to also too, like, why do people come into the gym? Like, you had your very specific reason, which I think you should share because it's always like, I don't know, I think that you can relate to so many people. But people come into a gym not usually because they want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but because there's something like deeper and more internal that they're battling that they might not even know what it is yet, but they're walking in to change something in their lives. So I always say that's like, what's their why? Some people come into Scorch specifically for that community and that feeling of these are my friends. I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to be able to talk out my issues. I'm going to be able to not only work out and feel good afterwards, but then I'm going to be able to like shoot the shit with people afterwards. And I have my friends now. So people come in, I don't want to say people come in just because they're lonely, but there are people who come to Scorch specifically for that social aspect. And I love that. So, because not everyone has to be a fitness model.
And plus you make it a very inviting environment. Like
Yeah, I try to.
It's very easy going in there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, super easy going.
Yeah.
I mean, if you meet me for the first time, hopefully it comes off that like, yes, like I've been in this industry my entire life, but I don't have the fitness influencer mindset. Like that's never been me.
But you know everybody by first name. I mean, like
Yeah.
you can address everybody as they walk in the.
Every single person, all
Right.
300 of you suckers.
Is that how many you have now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
And you have what, 6 classes during the week or 7?
8. So
8 Monday through Friday.
8 Monday through Thursday, 7 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday,
Which one do you not have on Friday? The 6?
6 p.m.
Okay.
because everyone's out at happy hour at that
Oh,
point,
yeah,
or they're
sure.
going to find you and watch.
I'm
your band.
either in a bar or I'm on a stage.
Yeah,
one or the
see,
other.
yeah, and that's where people should be. Go to a bar, go watch your band.
Or we can do a Scorch night at
Yeah.
a future Jacked Up show. You guys
Yeah,
can all come.
we do need to do that. That
Yeah.
needs to be a thing. Yeah,
And then weekends is just, I think, what, 2 Saturday,
2
2
classes.
Sunday?
Yep, Saturday morning.
And I
Sunday
was told I
morning.
don't go on the weekends, but
Yeah.
I heard understand they're quite packed.
They're insane. And at one point, I was, like, worried we didn't have Sunday classes, and I was like, "Oh, I don't need to put those on the schedule." Like, every time you increase number of classes, opening an extra day, obviously, overhead on the business goes up. And I was like, "I don't know if that we're gonna have enough people in a Sunday class
Sure.
to make it worth it."
Right.
And we're completely packed.
Well, here's the thing, though. Sarasota is growing in leaps and
Oh,
bounds.
yeah.
And the way you see this is during season. I remember several years ago, I
Mhm.
guess I should say off season, you can see basically tumbleweeds going down the street and you can
Yeah.
hear crickets. And this place was empty July, August, September.
Mhm.
And every year there's more and more people coming around in
Yeah.
the summer months. And you're seeing the construction, especially in my area where I live on off of
Mhm.
Clark Road and
Yeah.
the Palmer Ranch section. There's so many homes being built. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that so many people are moving here
Yeah.
that you have the potential
Mhm.
to truly increase your memberships, especially during season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. And it's just the whole landscape has changed from I opened this gym 9 years ago. So I was 26 years old. I was stupid. Crazy. Don't do that when you're 26 years old.
No, but that's the right age to do it because that's the age. Those are the best years of your
Yeah,
life, man. When you're like
those are
you're
the
an
years.
entrepreneur
Yeah.
and you're excited,
If you're I was
you take
single. I
risks,
was single,
taking
didn't
risks.
didn't have a kid, and I literally had nothing to lose. Like, when I say I had nothing to lose, I'm like, I didn't own a home. Like, I owned my car outright at that point, and so I didn't have car payments, thank God, and I just remember being like, "I'm gonna take out this loan for $250,000,000," and I didn't come from a wealthy family, like, I put myself through college, all that kinda stuff, and I'm like, "But screw it. If I default on this loan, what do they got to take from me?"
Obviously, you did a great sales pitch to whatever banker you were talking to that
I
he
took
gave
out a
it
private loan.
to.
Thank God.
Well, this is a wonderful
Yeah.
segue for the next
Yeah.
segment now. Because let's talk about you growing up,
Mhm.
right, and your influences.
Yeah.
So, where are you from originally?
So I was actually born in Sarasota. I'm one of the very few. My family moved away when I was 10 years old to Vermont, and that's where I grew up and that's where I went to college. So Vermont was where like my elementary school, middle school, high
So
school,
interesting. So you
college.
left
Yeah.
sunny, beautiful Sarasota
Uh-huh.
for cold,
Yeah.
wintry Vermont.
Yep.
I bet you became a skier and a skater when you
Big
were a kid.
time.
Yeah,
Big time skier. Love skiing.
right. I've been to
Yep.
Vermont. I've been to Burlington.
Yeah.
It is
Burlington's
it is very pretty
it's
there.
awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, so spent my childhood up until after college in Vermont. And then I actually drove back down to Sarasota with no job and no place to live, thinking I was going to go to med school. And so I was taking a year off. And I packed up my little Toyota Highlander and drove down here.
But while you were
Yeah.
in Vermont,
Yeah.
you studied
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
exercise.
Yep. So my degree is in athletic training, which is basically sports medicine. So normally, so we're the people who, when you're watching like a football game on TV and a athlete goes down and the person runs out and like to check their injury and all that kind of stuff, that's what my degree is in.
So muscles, ligaments,
All the
broken
stuff,
bones,
all of it.
right.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
but you're also like big on the rehab of side of it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So part of what our degree is that as an athletic trainers, we work on the prehab and the rehab. So we try to make it so the athletes don't get hurt by doing all the proper like pre-habilitation. So all the stuff that you're doing at Scorch, for instance.
Stretching and working the muscles,
Well,
right?
yeah, strengthening the stabilizer muscles, strengthening yourself in general, working with coaches, working with strength coaches to make sure that programs are correct so that people don't get injured. And then, God forbid, athletes do get injured or general population, the everyday person gets injured. We then can work on their rehab afterwards, or if they end up having surgery, we can do all the rehab after surgery. So the difference is between us and physical therapists, for instance. Physical therapists will handle things after someone gets hurt. We try to make it so that they don't get hurt. And then we also, in emergency settings, can handle a lot of crazy things.
So as a young person who
Yeah.
was very athletic herself,
Yeah.
what made you get into this field? Like, what was it like? Oh, I want to become an athletic trainer. Like, what rang that bell for you?
It was trying to figure out how to, because I ran track in college. I was a Division I track athlete.
Which particular
So
event? And
400 meters, 800 meters. And so I was always an athlete and I knew that I wanted to do something. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist at first. So when I was in high school, I actually worked in physical therapy clinics as just like the kid who would fold towels and like all
Like an
that kind of
intern?
stuff. Kind of like intern, but also do the dirty work, take the trash out, do the laundry, all that kind of stuff. But one of the cool things I got to do during that time is I actually got to start writing exercise programs for people who were coming out of their rehab programs because the physical therapy clinic that I worked in had a full gym. So I would write these workouts, and then these people would start doing these workouts once their treatments were done. And so that's how I kind of started dabbling in this whole like injured person gets good workout, gets really strong again, and feels great. So then I carried that into college. So my degree is in athletic training, which is more like sports medicine type stuff. However, I became obsessed with strength and conditioning. So I ended up actually taking my board exam for to become a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So I was able to have that when I graduated. And that's just I'm a straight up strength coach. Like that was my obsession. So I could have gone to I did work for IMG for a little while when I first came down here. Um, I thought maybe I would go to like a college team and be the strength coach and all that. I never thought that I would open a gym for the everyday person that was true athletic strength and conditioning, like an athlete would get. And this is fast forwarding a little bit, but the reason I opened Scorch was is that I was working with people with $50 million contracts, and I was building strength programs for them that made it so that they didn't get injured. And I thought to myself, like, why don't we do this for the everyday person? Like, why is it that there's so many workouts out there that are literally breaking people apart? And these people, they have jobs, they have kids, they have debt, they have things that they need to handle on a daily basis. And we're beating the shit out of them. And we're not making them the best versions of themselves. Meanwhile, this guy has got a $50 million contract, and I am being so careful to make sure that he is completely taken care of. Well, the science behind the workouts that take care of those athletes at that high level can easily be adapted to general population or the everyday person, you and me. And so that's kind of how I created Scorch.
So if somebody came to you
Yeah.
and said, "Listen, I'm in my 60s or 70s. Why do I need the strength train?" What
Oh,
would you say to them?
so yeah, this is what we talked about the other day. The biggest thing, 60s, 70s, 80s as well, because I do train people in their 80s. The biggest thing is you've got to think about the quality of life over the next 20, 30 years that you've got. So, and when I say quality of life, I mean, what do you want to be thinking about when you walk outside? Do you want to be thinking about, am I going to fall down? Am I going to fall down? Am I going to fall down and break a hip? Or do you want to be like, oh, what am I going to do right now? Am I going to see a band? Okay, if you're going to see a band, are you worried that standing for too long is going to give you low back pain? Those are the things that you don't need to be worrying about. You need to be enjoying your life. And by being physically fit, and I'm not talking fitness model fit or power lifter fit and all this, I'm just talking about pain free range of motion. It will not only drastically change your life because of all the things that you can continue to do for the next 20, 30 years, but it'll also make it so that you have more energy to do the things that you love. Because pain and constantly thinking about, are you able to do things, takes away energy. It's exhausting not being in shape. So that's where people have to decide, okay, what do I want the next like 10 years to look like, 20 years to look like? What do I want to be obsessing over? Is it the things that I love, or is it the things that I'm afraid of?
Well, we live in an area where there's a lot of aging
Mhm.
people,
Yeah.
a lot of retirees. There's a lot of disposable income here of
Yeah.
wealthy men and women.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at, like, for example, my older sisters
Hmm.
and brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
They're at a point in their life where they're trying to improve the quality of their life,
Hmm.
right? And they have the means to do it financially. They have the time they can make for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of places like Scorch are popping up,
Hmm.
places where people can go and they can get fit really
Yeah.
fast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you can write them a program.
Yes. Yep. Very easily. And it doesn't take, and I think a lot of people are worried when they first start that, or before they even start, that they're going to have to put in all this work and all this effort. And it's going to be 5 days a week, six
Well,
days
I'm
a
glad you brought
week.
that up.
Yeah. And really, when it comes down to it, I was going to say, to create a stimulus on the body, to create the starting of change, you only need 2 days a week.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
here's the thing. I think that people might find any gym
Hmm.
to be intimidating. And
Yeah.
again, this is not me. I'm a weightlifting guy and I eat, drink, and sleep weightlifting. But somebody
Yeah.
that doesn't know weightlifting, that
Hmm.
might see all these massive barbells and dumbbells and
Yeah.
plates, they see squat racks when they walk in, they might be a little
They
intimidated.
panic.
They
Yeah.
might be a little intimidated, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what would the pitch be to those folks that are coming in and saying, look, you may have sold them on the fact that they need to do something,
Hmm.
they want to improve the quality of their life,
Yeah.
but yet they're afraid to touch a weight.
Yeah. So, and that's when you have to figure out like what gym you're going into. So if they're coming into Scorch, you don't have to worry about that. We're going to guide you through everything. And we would prefer you not know anything about the racks and anything about barbells, because then we can teach you from the ground up. The goal is to have perfect form. The goal is to meet your body where it's at. And so a lot of people come in thinking they need to be at this certain level when they start, but it's most of the time with like, especially with trainers like myself and the ones that you work out with, sometimes we like it when someone comes in with no background and scared out of their minds, because then we can teach them from the very beginning. We can make it so that they don't have the bad habits we have to train them out of. But also too, like when you see a 45-pound bar inside of a rack, it's funny, I made an Instagram video about this. The rack itself is just a place for the bar to live. And the bar itself is a 45-pound piece of steel. And the cool thing about Scorch is we have bars that range from 12 pounds to 30 pounds. So you can learn all the movements without having to pick up a bar at first. But then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I'm comfortable benching now. That's my favorite, is when I get, I'd say, this like middle-aged female demographic. So it's like 45 to 50, and they've never weightlifted in their lives. And all of a sudden they're like repping on the bench, and they go home and tell their husbands, and they're like, I benched
Yeah,
95 pounds
sure. It's a
today.
big deal.
And their husbands are like, your bench press thing at the gym you're going to? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, and that's
Well,
how we get the husbands in.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
how about this theory? Resistance is resistance. The
Yeah.
bars are just the tools.
Yeah.
You have a toolbox of ways that you can
Yeah.
give resistance. So you can do body weight.
Yep.
You can do bands,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's the barbells and dumbbells are just
They're
tools
just tools.
to take it to the next level
Yeah.
when you're ready for that.
Yeah, when you're ready for that. And that's the thing is that the cool thing about hiring a trainer or coming to a gym like Scorch is that you have someone to tell you when you're ready for the next step so that you don't injure yourself. So that's where the guidance comes in. So Cynthia, for instance, made you do 4 burpees even though you didn't want to, because she knew you weren't going to hurt yourself.
But she also knows me well enough to know that
Yeah.
I still have a lot. See, like I'm holding back
Yeah.
mentally because I'm afraid, I guess, of
Yeah.
re-injuring things that
Mhm.
that I don't have to worry about because I'm not going to re-injure them. But
Yeah.
like I never forgot when I played football and I had that surgery, then I had to go back the next year to play.
Yeah.
I wasn't my full killer instinct because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, my knee. But there was nothing wrong
Yeah.
with my knee. It was a
Yeah.
psychological thing. You know what I'm saying?
So, and that's I'm happy that you brought that up. So the psychological aspect of fitness is probably the biggest aspect of it. So we can think about these workouts that we're going to do. We know what we should do, but the majority of people know what they should do. They know they should walk in the door, but they don't. And that's the psychological aspect. That's the fear aspect. So it's one of those things that you're going to be constantly battling from before you walk in to even when you're in there and that's where it's like voicing your
You
concerns
talking about
and
the
talking it out.
psychological aspects now? Are we good? Is that where we're going with
I
this?
feel like we should, because you can't get results from a workout you're not doing. And again, most people don't come in because of the
I
brain.
agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is a psychologist.
Yeah.
And I believe in success coaching.
Yep.
And I believe in that stuff
Yeah.
because you know people need to be motivated.
Mhm. Yeah.
Who's that guy that runs he's always running on the internet. He lost 100 pounds. I got Goggins, David
Oh,
Goggins.
David Goggins. He's intense.
Okay,
Have
so
you ever read his books?
I read it. Well, I didn't read his books, but I watched his
I
videos.
have.
And I enjoy him
Yeah.
because he's funny.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to be funny, but he's funny.
Yeah.
And he says the F word every sentence, like
Yeah.
every. So he's all about getting people motivated. And his pitch in my mind is that we're capable of a lot more
Mhm.
as human beings. Like if you had to, you could go run 20 miles. You just
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason,
Yeah.
but you can do it. And he's known for breaking through these pain barriers,
Mhm.
but they're also mental barriers
Yeah.
that he can break through.
Yeah.
And he teaches people like he goes on tour now and he makes a lot of money giving seminars on how to do that.
Yeah.
And now he translates it into the business world.
Yeah.
So now he could talk to business executives, A level, B level guys,
Yeah.
and say, you know, you guys are multimillionaires, but I can help you get to the next level
Mhm.
because you have to break through
Yeah.
that mental block.
Yeah, that discomfort. And that's what it is that it's uncomfortable to do. Well, it's actually physics. So it's the law of thermodynamics, actually. So it's an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. So if you're resting all the time and you're not doing anything, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to start. Once you start something, it's a lot easier to keep momentum. Now, all the other part of that law of thermodynamics, one of the laws, is that it takes so much more energy to get something started. So the reason it feels hard for people to start is because it actually is. It's actually hard to change our habits. But once we get that like push, once we give ourselves that push and we exert that extra energy to start, it's a lot easier to keep the momentum going. So when people are like, well, I don't know how to start, it's like you've got to find some jolt of energy to just get yourself going. And that it's okay if it's hard to start something new because that's your brain fighting you because your brain wants to be comfortable. Your brain doesn't care if you're super healthy or sitting on the couch. It just wants
I think
habits.
sometimes it's human nature to be complacent. You know, if
Yeah.
you have shelter, you have food,
You're
you know,
comfy.
yeah, so, like, we live in a world now of streaming services,
Mhm.
right? We live in a world of Uber Eats where, you know, and I think COVID might have one of the detriments of, well, there's many detriments of COVID, but it taught us how we to stay home and sit
Yeah.
on the couch and eat,
Yeah.
order food out, don't talk to your neighbors,
Yep.
and watch Netflix.
How's it it's yeah. It's crazy because like you're saying, like it's something that we've now like we've stuck with. It's like the work from home mentality. I've never seen so many people working from home, but I've also never seen so many people who are wildly depressed because they're not getting out and having social interaction on a daily basis. So,
The majority of my weight gain came in the last couple of years when
yeah.
I was working from COVID,
Yeah.
working from home,
Yep.
and I stopped going to the gym,
Mhm.
and I stopped my daily routines, and then I started craving foods that were simple and easy to eat
Yeah.
instead of cooking,
Yeah.
and I got into bad habits.
Mhm.
So now I'm trying to break out of those habits.
Yeah. And it's hard to break habits. Like we don't give our brains enough credit for fighting us on a daily basis, in all honesty. Our subconscious brain pattern. So we have this cognitive part of our brain where it's like the thoughts that we have on a daily basis. And because we can think things, but then not act on them. Like we know what's right for us, but we don't do it. And the reason we don't do it is because of our subconscious brains. And so, what ends up happening is our habits are truly ingrained in us to the point where we actually don't have to think about them to do them. So when that's why it's so hard to break habits because we're doing them unconsciously almost. So when you're grabbing simple foods or you're deciding to skip a workout, those are things that are ingrained in you that your body just does naturally. So you actually have to make a conscious effort to say, this is what my body and brain thinks it's supposed to do. So I'm going to do the opposite.
You know, it's funny because Michael Phelps, the
Yeah.
Olympic swimmer, said recently on an interview about what separates, you know, champions from regular
Hmm.
people is that no matter, like we talked about this earlier in the green room about how it's hard to get out of bed in the morning
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But he says that people that are successful,
Hmm.
they make themselves do it. They have that switch that they can turn on
Yeah.
and they make themselves get up and they make themselves do things when they don't want to do
Yeah.
them. You know, and that can go from everything
Yeah.
to working on a Sunday, if you know,
Hmm.
or to just
Yeah.
going to the gym.
Yeah. And you can train that switch, but you just have to know upfront that it's going to be uncomfortable at first. And that's where I think people have to start to realize that if you truly want to change your life and you truly want to get healthy and have the energy to fully enjoy your life, then in the beginning, you've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to know that you're going to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not changing. So the body likes something called homeostasis. Homeostasis is when our body literally is at this just happy point and it doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. It's just where it wants to be. And it doesn't want to break out of that. So when we want to change our habits and we want to change the things we're doing on a daily basis, like going to the gym or eating healthier, then we have to literally shock the body. And when the body gets shocked, it will fight you. So,
Okay, so what are a
yeah,
couple simple things
yeah,
that somebody listening to this podcast can do to make those changes? So,
yep.
for an example,
Hmm.
my this is my opinion. I think that what you want to do is you want to make a to-do list and
Hmm.
say, okay, these are some things I want to do tomorrow.
Yeah,
Perhaps maybe you clear your schedule, so give yourself the time.
yeah,
Because a lot of people say, well, I don't have the time to do this. So make the
right.
time, right?
Yeah.
What I do is I put my alarm clock across.
Hmm.
I actually have an alarm clock that's plugged into the wall
Yeah.
because if you use your phone, it's very easy to turn it off,
Oh, yeah. I hit snooze all the time.
like I did this morning,
Yeah.
or you can it runs out of batteries or whatever.
Yep.
But like for the days that I have to be up at 5 a.m. or whatever,
Hmm.
I take that alarm clock and it's across the hall and I have to physically now get out of bed to turn it
It's
off.
perfect. It's a great idea. And that gets you moving and it gets that process started. And that's where it's like, so for people who are just starting out, the way that I usually have them is that you never want to over inundate yourself. So if you want to change your nutrition, you want to change your fitness, you want to change your relationships with people, food, business, whatever it is, our our mindset because of the industry is to do everything at once. It's like, okay, I'm going to start exercising today and I'm going to eat perfectly and I'm going to meditate. And after I meditate, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to make $1 million and then I'm going to come home. And we can't you can't overhaul your brain patterns and your habits all in one day. So you have to pick one thing to start with. So I always tell people start in strength. So by becoming physically stronger, I have seen that everything else in your life becomes stronger. I call it the deadlift effect. So if you're just starting out, pick 2 days a week that you're going to do basic strength training. And when I say basic strength training, it could be, if you're just starting out, it could be sitting down and standing up out of a chair 10 times. Because what are you doing? You're moving your legs, you're getting your core to fire, you're getting your heart rate up. And yes, literally just sitting down,
You know,
standing up.
somebody told me that that's the best thing you can do
Oh,
if
yeah.
there's only one exercise.
Did someone tell you
Yeah,
that? Yeah, that was
that you
me.
can just get up from a seated
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
and stand
Yeah.
and sit down again.
Well, you want to think about things that are functional that you're going to do in your day-to-day life. Like, so for the rest of your life, you're going to need to get up out of a chair or a couch or a seat somewhere, and you're going to need to be able to walk. So why don't we practice sitting down and standing up? You see people as they age, they have to like use the arms of the chair. They need someone to help get them up. That's what you want to avoid. I have a client right now who's 82 years old. He just went in for a total shoulder replacement. He had 20 years ago, he had rotator cuff surgery, lots of arthritis in there, whatever. He's 82, got a total shoulder. And the cool thing is that they asked him if he wanted a walker because they were afraid that he wouldn't be able to like walk around afterwards, even though it's just his shoulder, because they didn't think he was strong enough. Well, he doesn't need anything like that. He's like, it's just shoulder surgery. I work out twice a week. I do strength training at 82 years old. I'm not worried about rolling over and getting out of bed. I'm not worried about getting up out of a chair, off a couch, needing my arms. He doesn't need those things. So that's something that long term is people don't think about until it kind of is there. So we really need to make sure that people are able to do, as we call ADLs, active daily living. These things that you do every single day, you want to be able to do those into your
I
70s
like
and
that.
your 80s.
ADL, active daily living.
Yep, active daily living. So you need to be able to get up off the couch. You need to be able to get into a car and out of a car. You need to be able to reach up and grab
Pick up the
something.
dog
Yeah, pick
or
up.
the
Yeah,
grandkid.
exactly. Those types of things. And you need to do those things without fearing that you're going to get hurt when you're doing them. So that's why I always say start in strength. Like you can overhaul your nutrition, you can overhaul your sleep patterns, you can start meditating, you can do all the things, but your brain is going to fight you. So it's easiest to add in one habit at a time. So that's where it's, if you don't know how to exercise, find someone to help you exercise. If you're in Sarasota, come to Scorch and we'll help you exercise. But get a couple personal training sessions. You don't have to do it for the rest of eternity, but get someone to help you. If you know what you're doing, find 30 minutes 2 times a week to just move. It could just be going for a walk. It could be doing like basic exercises at home. You can watch a YouTube video and do some basic strength stuff. But again, the idea is that you're starting with one habit. Then once that becomes a habit, then you start to add in the
So
other
a great
stuff.
example for somebody completely sedentary might
Yeah.
be just go every Tuesday and Thursday, you're going to go for a walk after dinner.
Yeah.
That
100%.
could be the very basic thing.
Yep. Yep.
And then maybe you make it 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And then maybe you make it 4 days
Yeah.
a week. So you start off small.
Yes.
You would mention deadlifting. And I think deadlifting is something that anybody, any age can do deadlifting,
Yep.
right? I think it's a lot easier to do than a squat.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that you can quickly build strength.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because the deadlift, and this is all over my Instagram too, but the deadlift is, so many people are like, oh, it's the most dangerous exercise.
Wow.
You can like, people they panic about the deadlift. And it's
Really?
yeah,
More
oh
than
my
the
gosh,
squat?
way more than the squat. And it's funny because it's one of those things where I'm like, well, don't you want to be able to pick things up off the ground for the rest of your life?
Plus, isn't it all about bending those knees as opposed to doing it
Yeah,
stiff-legged?
well, bending your knees, hip hinge, all that kind of stuff. But it's strengthening not only your lower body, but it's strengthening your core and it's strengthening your upper body. So the deadlift is a total body exercise that teaches the body to work as one unit because all the muscles throughout the entire body have to fire together to be able to do the exercise properly. And so when we're in our daily lives, we want all of our muscles talking to each other and working together. So that way we don't trip and fall. Or if we do trip and fall, we know to like catch ourselves or brace ourselves. So those are the things when we teach, especially like with you guys at Scorch, when I teach you certain exercises, there is a reason that you're doing them for outside of the gym.
So talk to me about functional.
Yeah.
What does functional actually mean?
So, okay, this is fun. So people will use the word functional training like it's everywhere. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I'm doing a bicep curl. It's functional training." To me, my definition of functional training and I think the right definition of functional training is teaching your body to work as one unit. So if you are, for instance, going to pick something up off the ground in your gym workout, you're doing a functional workout that's teaching you that motion. So when I go to do, for instance, like let's talk about the barbell thruster exercise. So this is the one where you have a bar or dumbbells or something up like in a front rack position. You do a squat, you come out of the squat, you use all the energy from your legs to then transfer through your core into your upper body to then press the weight over your head. When you're doing that exercise properly, you're not necessarily feeling your shoulders. You're actually getting all that energy from your legs. So you're teaching your body to move
There's some
functionally.
momentum involved.
Yeah, momentum, but with momentum comes energy transfer. So you're literally using all the strength and energy from your legs to then connect and transfer to your core, which is now strengthening your core, to then connect and strengthen your upper body. So we're teaching the body again to work as
So
one
power
unit.
versus strength.
Yeah.
Because you're basically when you're doing your HIIT programs. And
Mhm.
by the way, I mean you're really good at making these programs
Mhm.
because you truly do mix it up.
Yeah.
Like every time I go in there and I look at the board of what we're going to do, and you have it
Yeah.
broken down into what, 6 quadrants.
Yep.
It's always interesting. It's like kettlebell,
Yeah.
Turkish turn,
Yeah.
and it's all interesting
Yeah.
because it makes sense.
Yeah. And there's rotational stuff in there, and there's single leg and single arm. And the reason we do that is because you have two sides of the body, and you are, unless you're ambidextrous, you use one side way more than the other side, right? Are you right-handed?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So use your right hand and your right leg probably all the time. So we need to train each side
But you know
individually.
what's funny you say that? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
For some reason, my left is bigger and stronger than my right, even though I'm right-handed. And
Well,
that's my bicep, my shoulder, my leg. Isn't that weird?
well,
Why
so
is that?
because that side is overexerting itself to keep up with that side, because that side is naturally stronger.
I know, but you would think if I'm using this more than this, you would
Mhm.
think that I would have a bigger bicep.
Not necessarily. So it's not that you're using it more, it's that side's already, your right side's already stronger because it's your dominant side. So now your left side is getting more of a stimulus or a stress from exercise and growing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Well, we're going to take a short break.
okay.
When we come back, we're going to get into some nutrition.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good, and you?
Okay, guys, you ready? Come on, let's do this thing. Crushing it, keep it up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Keep those shoulders back, chest up. Keep your weight you're feeling on those deadlifts. You got this, keep going. Keep that core tight. You better be moving. Your final 10. Let's get to the last push in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job, guys.
So, Liz, one thing I do, I give all my guests a little parting gift.
Yay.
Today, it's the jacked up guitar pick. So
I
that's
like
for
this.
you.
This will be utilized. Yeah.
And if you want, I'll give you a second one. You can make them into earrings.
So I make. Do you know I make jewelry?
I do not. I do.
You
not
didn't know that?
No.
I thought that maybe you knew that.
No.
That's
Tell
why
me
you
about
said that. Okay, so when I was pregnant, so my daughter's 3, I needed a hobby because I was just exhausted. My business at that point had been 6 years old, and it was kind of handling itself. So I was able to take a little break and step away. And I learned how to silversmith. So I went and took silversmithing
Look at
classes.
you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would do private lessons every Wednesday for like my entire pregnancy. So I learned how to like solder, and like I can use a blowtorch, make stuff, and yeah, it's wild.
So, what other hobbies and interests do you have?
None. No, that's not true.
You travel.
I do travel.
You do travel a lot.
Yep. I do
right?
travel
You have
a lot.
dog, you're
I
a dog
do.
owner,
Yep. I have a
dog lover.
Belgian Malinois. And yeah, so I do love to travel. I love beer. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
As a fitness girl, I love beer.
What kind of beer though? Are you more like the light beer or the
Nope.
heavy beers?
Nope. Like give me an IPA that I can chew.
Really?
And, yeah.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah. Really.
I'm not a beer guy, but when I drink beer, it's got to be super light and easy.
Yeah. No. Nope. Nope. I like my beer to be a meal.
Wow.
100%.
And we have a lot of places popping up in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, we
Sarasota
do.
included,
Yeah.
IPAs and
Yep. Where I'm from in Vermont, is kind of like where craft brewing like started, like one of the places that it
Yes.
started. And we just have some so many amazing beers up there. And then my friends would brew beer. We had a beer brewing course at the University of Vermont.
That would be a fun course.
Yep. Yeah.
I bet you nobody failed that course.
No.
Shout out to
Maybe.
Sam Adams. When it first came out, it was delicious.
Yeah.
And there was nothing like it on the market.
Yeah.
And I used to drink that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the Sam Adams cherry wheat is still one of my favorites, and it's in my fridge right now.
So are you the kind of person that likes to work out and then have a cold beer afterwards?
Yes, 100%. I think that so the fitness industry, I feel like makes people think that you have to be all or nothing. So it's like, I'm going to eat perfectly and exercise, or I'm going to be a degenerate and not exercise and just binge eat and binge drink. And there definitely can be a happy medium. Obviously, if you're really focusing on losing weight, then decreasing the amount of alcohol you're drinking is very important. Just because when the liver is processing alcohol, you can't burn fat during that time.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because
Yeah.
I want to talk about nutrition.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about all these internet gurus, right?
Yeah.
There are guys, one of my problems why I don't get a lot of sleep is because I'm watching these videos.
Yeah.
See, it's a bad thing to bring your cell phone into your bedroom.
Terrible.
Because I watch these YouTube videos of all these gurus.
Mhm.
One guy's talking about now, plants are bad for you. Do not eat plants.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I would live to see that. Then there's the carnivore guys,
Yep.
right? Then there's the lion guys that are lion guys, which is like hardcore carnivore.
Yeah.
And then you got the guys that are just, look, man, just, burn more calories than you take in.
Yeah.
And eat, carbs.
Yep.
You need it for the gym.
Yep.
So there's so many different types of things. What
So
are your thoughts on
many.
that? Like,
So many.
like how do you tell somebody to get through all that? Like, what's your advice to somebody who's overwhelmed with all this internet?
So first of all, everyone on the internet, I'll say 99% of the people on the internet, they want to make money off of you. So they will come up with whatever they can that's slightly different than the previous diet to then sell it to you, to then get it so that they are taking your money. So just remember that. This is an industry where people need to make money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So one of the cool things is that thankfully, because of what I have my degree in, I'm able to read through actual research. And so none of these diets that you're looking at actually have, not none of them. There's lots of diets, that Mediterranean diet, the keto diet, that have studies behind them. But a lot of the new age stuff, there's actually no true research studies that prove that it's good or bad for you. So when it comes down to it, really, you just want to eat things. If your goal is to get healthy and it's all overwhelming and you don't want to dive into one of these specific diets, that the goal is just to eat things that come from the earth. So think about your fruits and your vegetables. Think about your animal proteins. If you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, awesome. I'm not here to tell you not to be, just because I'm not a nutritionist. But eating good quality lean animal proteins is something that I've noticed.
Are you a beef eater?
Yeah. I'm an everything eater.
Do you eat more chicken or fish so you can eat leaner, or do you just go right to the beef?
No, I eat beef. I mean, I personally have an iron deficiency, so I do eat red meat probably 2 to 3 times a week. I don't have a reaction to it. I've actually done this cool blood test thing called an MRT test that shows me what foods my body likes and doesn't like. And red meat is actually one of those things my body really likes.
Can people get that test? Is that something that anybody can get?
Yep. Yeah. It's kind of an expensive blood test, and a lot of times insurance won't cover it. The one I did is called MRT. You can Google it, MRT nutrition testing. You can probably get it from like
is that like a methylate thing?
Mm-hmm. It's looking at your body's immune response to certain foods. So you send in a ton of your blood. Funny. It looks how your immune system responds to it.
I have an issue with wheat. I just learned that.
Yeah.
I'm wheat sensitive.
Yeah.
Because I always wondered when I used to drink beer, why would my sinuses get stuffy?
Yeah.
And sometimes I would actually sneeze. I'm like, why am I sneezing?
Yeah. Yeah. You have a sensitivity to it. So, and it's interesting though, because in wheat specifically, is I bet you, and you probably hear this a lot, if you go to a different country, you could probably have their beer and their wheat and you wouldn't have the sensitivity to it.
Because our country's known for stripping everything, the breads, the wheats, it's all the same.
And also too, we genetically,
our soil is different.
We genetically modify our foods. So our foods are, because our country and any country has so many people and we have to feed all of these people, we've had to create ways to make food faster. So this is a long time ago, we started genetically modifying our foods so that way they would grow faster. And what ends up happening is that your body doesn't necessarily recognize that food when you consume it. And so your body attacks it. because it's saying like, oh, I don't like this. This isn't something I can absorb, or this isn't something I can digest. So it's going to attack it. You have these white blood cells that come, they attack it. Your immune system kicks on, and you get things like a histamine response. So your nose
When
gets
we were little
stuffy.
kids and before the science came out
Yeah.
or the internet came out, we all knew about peanuts. There were some kids that couldn't eat peanuts, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But I think today now everybody's aware. It's like Whole Foods,
Yeah.
Fresh Market. I see more people going there because they're buying healthier
Yeah. They're
products.
buying
But
organic
but here's my
products.
question
Yeah.
to you: young people,
Yes.
are they teaching in schools? Like I noticed that Taco Bell and like all these fast food places are
Yeah.
very, very, very popular still.
Yeah.
And there's more of them popping up. Are younger people getting educated on nutrition, and are they getting educated on potential issues?
Not that I know of, in all honesty. So, and the reason I say that is my boyfriend's sons are 20 and 18. So they've just kind of come out of like the high school thing. And there's things that I'll tell them and they'll be like, oh, we never knew that. Like, so they're not learning about nutrition. They're not learning about health
So
in
it's up to the
school.
parents
Yeah,
to
100%
give
up to
their
the
kids the
parents.
right stuff, like
Yeah.
not give them soda as
Yeah.
kids. And
And it's so hard, like, especially as a mom like myself, like there is a time and a place for convenience foods. Like we're exhausted. Like if your kid's screaming at you all the time, you're like, you know what? Have the damn cupcake today. Like, I don't care. It comes down to moderation. And so it's like that 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you're really like pushing for like the healthier whole foods, things that are not processed. And then 20% of the time, like, who cares? Like, if you're enjoying something in moderation, then
but that's the word, see, Liz, right?
moderation. Yeah.
I don't know what moderation is. Like I'll eat an
Right.
entire bag of potato
Yeah.
chips. I can't eat just one or
Yeah.
two.
And that's where mindset comes into it. So when you go into that, like you're having the bag of chips, are you saying to yourself before you have them, okay, I'm only going to have them today? Or is it something you're allowing yourself to have all the time? Because if you're not allowing yourself to have it on a regular basis, then you are going to binge eat it. But if it's something that is always available for you when you have a craving, then you're less likely to just eat the entire bag.
Yeah, I believe in addictive. Have an addictive personality.
My dad was
And I
my
believe some
dad
of the
was an
properties of
addict.
these foods are
Yeah.
actually maybe even designed to be addictive,
No, they are
knowing
100%.
that there's a certain amount of
Yeah.
fat and sugar and salt.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is sugar.
Hmm.
And I think that as Americans, I've read somewhere that we consume more sugar than any place else. Right. And I think that I've always been a sugar addict.
Yeah.
And now I replaced it with bread.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I eat a
Mhm.
lot of bread,
Yep.
which converts to sugar.
It does.
Unless you're like running marathons, right? And you're
Still
extremely active.
converts to sugar. No matter what, when you consume carbohydrates, they break down in the body.
But if
and
you're not
yeah.
exercising like a maniac and you're eating these things,
then you
that's
store
how you
them.
get fat, right?
Yeah, that's when your body stores them. So think of carbohydrates, think of fats as units of energy. Okay. And so our body is going to store any excess energy that we consume to use later. And that's how we store fat. So when we consume carbohydrates and we're not burning all of them, and it's the same thing for fat. If you consume too much fat, even if it's from healthy things like avocados, nuts, and seeds, your body is going to store those units of energy for later. A calorie is literally a unit of energy. It's not like a crazy, creepy, scary thing that just wants to make you fat. Your body, this is a cool thing, your body actually burns calories around the clock. So, for instance, someone at my size probably burns around 1,200 to 1,300 calories with not doing anything. I can lay down for 24 hours and still burn 1,200 to 1,300 calories. So this is where people have to remember when they are going on diets and they are starting to eat healthy and stuff, you still have to eat a certain amount of calories.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. I believe in that.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact it was the opposite for me. I one time went on this HCG diet
Yep.
under a doctor's care.
Yeah.
And he basically got me down to 500 calories a day.
Hmm.
And I lost a lot of weight, but guess what? I lost a lot of muscle too.
Yeah. Yeah, your body wasn't sustaining itself. So, and what happens is that when you lose muscle and when you lose body fat, whenever you lose weight, you slow down that resting metabolic rate or the amount of calories that your body burns at rest or in that 24-hour period of doing nothing. So, the goal is that when we're eating is that we want to eat enough calories to sustain our muscle mass and to make it so our body doesn't eat itself basically and break ourselves down. So that's why slow weight loss is so important when you're getting into a nutrition program or getting into an exercise program. Like 1 to 2 pounds a week, even though it's boring to lose weight that slowly, is super beneficial because you're not going to damage your metabolism.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ozempic
Yeah.
and those types of drugs because they're very,
Yeah.
very, very popular.
Yep.
I personally know people who are have used it or
Yeah.
are currently using it,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've seen a dramatic weight loss in these people.
Yeah, of
Now, the
course.
one thing we don't know, and
Mhm.
maybe even they don't know,
Yeah.
is what's going on
Yeah,
internally.
yeah, yeah.
Like, is it gonna hurt them in the long run?
Yeah.
Are they losing muscle
Yeah.
mass? Are they having bone density
Yeah,
issues?
yeah, yeah.
Like I gotta think that Ozempic used, and again, I'm not a doctor by any
Yeah,
means,
yeah,
but
yeah.
used for a long period of time cannot be healthy.
So, and we will find out. Ozempic is something called GLP-1 or a glucagon-like peptide. So glucagon is something that your liver creates to basically, tell your body and tell your brain that like, "Hey, I need more blood sugar." Okay? So or it goes into your bloodstream. It's like, "Hey, we need blood sugar." So what it does though is it makes it so that you feel satisfied and don't need to eat more. So people who are on
Okay, so
Ozempic
feeling
aren't
satisfied,
hungry.
you're
Yeah.
talking about psychologically feeling satisfied, or your stomach is not rumbling?
No, hormonally, you're satisfied. So when we're hungry, it's because our blood sugar drops. So Ozempic makes it so that your blood sugar doesn't necessarily drop.
Okay.
And then you don't have the
But it
cravings.
doesn't, but it also doesn't do anything for the psychological or addict issue, does it?
Well, hormonally, hormones affect psychological. So by literally changing like what's going on in your bloodstream, it's
You
going
won't
to
crave
change
it?
your brain. You're not
Okay,
going to crave it. So it decreases cravings like
okay.
no other.
So it works.
No, it does work.
So there's pros to it.
It's not okay, yeah, there's 100% pros for it, especially for someone who is a type 2 diabetic, someone who has a metabolic disease. That being said, it doesn't work for everybody.
Okay, but what would you say to somebody who doesn't need it and maybe they're already thin, like some of these housewives of Beverly
Yeah,
Hills who are buying it and using it and they're having like they're addicted to it. Like
yeah.
that's
Well, then who knows what's happening to their bodies? We don't know.
but do you think that maybe for some people it's an excuse not to diet and exercise? They'll just say, I'll
Yeah,
just do a shot.
possibly, but the thing is that sorry, and I think I said liver before, it's pancreas. Your pancreas is what secretes glucagon. Um, but the we don't know the lasting effects because you're literally giving your body something that your pancreas is producing. So this is again, they haven't done all the research on it that I know of, so I can't really answer that. Like, is it going to hurt you long term? We don't know, but I can kind of relate it to hormones because what we've seen, like, is for instance, like with men who take or women who take testosterone, for instance.
Women who take testosterone?
Oh, it's women who take
Really?
testosterone. Yeah. Well, some of them take it from a hormonal benefit because women do have a small amount of testosterone in their bodies, but let's take guys on steroids, like straight up steroids. Okay. They already have high testosterone levels. They want to get stronger. They want to get big. They start taking more test. Okay.
Some of these younger guys in the other gyms that I go to,
Yeah.
I see young men that are
Yep.
extremely large and I think
Yep.
they're on tren,
Yeah. They're totally on trend. Or they
which
could
I
be,
could kill you.
yeah. So whether they're doing a trend cycle, a DECA cycle, a Winstrol cycle, a test cycle, unfortunately, I know way too much about steroids because I grew up in the powerlifting world. But let's say you're taking these steroids, but your testosterone levels are already at a great number, and now they're just going higher. What's going to happen is that your body is going to self-regulate, and it's not going to produce as much of its own natural testosterone because you're supplementing with it.
So you're stuck for life.
So if you, with second you go off of it, what happens? Your testosterone levels go down and the amount of testosterone that your body is naturally making stays down. So think of that. That's where I think the correlation could be. And this is me just kind of like coming up off the top of my head with the Ozempic, is that you are having your body create and secrete glucagon. And over time, you come off of the drug and maybe that's not happening anymore the way it's supposed to. So that's where I'm thinking like it could correlate.
So is the future of health and
Yeah.
fitness maybe getting more involved in medicine and hormones and you know,
Pharmacological ways.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. And here's the thing though, some of these peptides can really help people. Okay. So unfortunately, we've done a lot of damage to our bodies over the years and our body. And so that's why it's great to have a physician that if you're doing these things that you like, who is talking to you all the time, who is doing your blood work all the time, who is monitoring you all the time. A lot of these weight loss clinics. So for instance, like you did HCG and you had a doctor overseeing you. Some of these weight loss clinics, hopefully you had a good experience with your doctor, but some of them just like sell something and say, I'll see you in a year.
Yes.
When you need to be getting blood work done
Right.
every 3
Right.
months.
Yeah,
Like
mine was legit. I went to
yeah.
legitimate in Fort Myers, a legitimate weight loss clinic. And
Yeah.
it worked. I lost weight,
Yeah.
but I gained it back over years.
Yeah. And that's because unfortunately,
My
when
habits
you're
didn't change.
when you're eating, when your habits don't change, you're only eating 500 calories, you're decreasing your metabolism, doing metabolism damage, whether you like it or not. like you're going to have repercussions to those actions.
500 calories is insane. I don't think I could ever do that again.
It's not sustainable.
I was basically eating an apple and
You
a
would,
couple hard-boiled
no,
eggs.
it's terrible.
But he weaned me. What he did
Yeah.
was he was smart. We went from like 5,000 to 45 to
Yeah.
4,000, 35 to 3 to 25. He took me down to a point where my appetite also shrank.
Yeah.
Now the HCG, I think I read that was like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a waste of
Yeah.
money because the calories consumed versus
Yeah.
calories burned
Yeah.
is the key to life. Right?
Remember that
Success.
this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Well, why would they give a grown man a pregnancy hormone? Because I guess it's good at burning fat or something. Like, what was the reason behind it that you think?
I think the reason behind it was to make it so that your body didn't need as many calories.
It had some kind of energy system.
So that's my guess.
But here's the thing: when you're taking
Yeah.
that few calories, it's very hard to exercise.
Yeah.
Because you have no energy.
No, it's impossible to exercise.
You have no energy.
You will break down. If you exercise when you are under eating, you will break down your muscle tissue to then feed your body. Because again, you need to use calories to make your heart work, your lungs work, your brain work, like your digestive system. That all takes calories to run. So if you are under eating, over exercising, there won't be enough energy left for your body. So then your body says like, no, I need to protect myself. So it decreases the amount of calories you burn at rest. So that's metabolism damage. But also too, it's going to say like, oh, you have some muscle. Cool. I'll take those amino acids from the muscle proteins and I'll break them down into usable glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. So your body's going to figure out a way to get carbs no matter what, whether it's breaking down your muscle tissue to get them or you actually consuming them. That's why people who are big and jacked usually do eat. I mean, they definitely eat all their protein, but they probably eat a good amount of carbohydrates.
And I heard that it's best to get your carbohydrates immediately after your workout.
Yeah, before and after your workouts. That's how you know you're utilizing them for muscle synthesis and muscle repair versus just storing the extra calories. And your body likes to absorb those carbohydrates and they turn them into glucose and then muscle glycogen.
What are your thoughts on protein powders, vitamin supplements, and mineral supplements? Like, for an example, I've read that I need magnesium because A, I don't eat any vegetables.
Yeah.
And B, when I do eat a vegetable, there's a good chance that the soil was so depleted
Yeah,
that
that you're not getting it. It's so, like you just said, you have read that you should take those things because you're not getting it. So that to me is a supplement to your diet. And that's what supplements should be. It's what vitamins and minerals and these protein powders, they should be a supplement to your diet. So you try to get everything in your diet. And then what you can't get in your diet, that's when you supplement with a vitamin or with a protein powder or something like that. Cool thing is that nowadays you can get all these tests run and see if you're actually deficient in these things.
Yes.
Before you go spend all your money on them.
Exactly.
Yep. So that is the first step. But if you're someone who's like, no, I'm not going to go get blood work done. It's basically looking like, okay, am I getting enough protein? I always tell people, like, take your fist, look at your fist. This is how much protein you should be getting at least 4 times a day. This is your minimum. Okay. If you're not getting that from actual food, then yeah, just throw in a protein shake.
Do you think women on average get less protein than men do? Like,
way less.
So like you have to force your female clients or remind your female clients that, hey, get a protein bar, get a protein shake, get something in there.
I think because, well, it's funny. I think it's all my clients in all honesty, because I think convenience foods a lot of the time are very low in protein and they're high in those carbs and fats. So because like, let's say you go grab fast food, like let's say you grab a burger, the amount of meat on that burger is probably very minimal. And then the amount of bread, cheese, toppings, all that kind of stuff is the volume of the food. So a lot of our convenience foods, again, are low in protein. So then you're not getting enough for it. So that could be everybody, whether it's male or female.
I read that you should get 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
So that means I need 300 grams of protein a day. That's not easy to get 300 grams
Well,
of protein.
I would say, so for someone who, what's your goal weight?
225.
Okay. So I'd say protein wise, do about 225.
Okay. So eat to your goal weight then. In
Yeah.
protein.
Eat to your goal weight. Yeah. Because 300 grams of protein is a lot of protein.
Yeah. I mean, I try to figure that out. I'd have to eat several chickens.
Yeah. Multiple chickens. You will.
I go to Costco to get my chickens, but I also realize there's a high sodium.
Yeah.
So I've been cutting back on my sodium.
Yeah.
So I don't eat Costco chickens anymore.
Yeah.
But I used to love those things. They're only $5.
Oh, I know. I get them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love Costco.
I can eat the whole damn thing in one sitting.
Yeah. My 3-year-old said yesterday, Mama, can we go to Costco?
Wow.
I'm like, yes, we can.
Just to avoid the bakery section.
Yeah, we get the croissants. I'm not going to lie. She eats them. So
So, but here's the thing, Liz,
yeah,
because you're fit and
yeah,
you're active,
yep.
you have the luxury of enjoying some of these things. Guys that are like me, and even guys that are in worse condition than I am, we don't no longer have that luxury. I'm really not supposed to be eating pasta and bread
Mhm.
anymore, ever. But I still indulge in that. And
Yep.
then I feel sick the next day.
Yep. So fun fact, I also feel sick the next day when I overeat anything like that, like the breads and pastas and that kind of stuff. It's not that I can overindulge and you can't type situation. It's really when it comes down to it, we both should be practicing the 80/20 rule. The difference is that your body with the 80/20 rule of 80% eating healthy all the time and 20% kind of just indulging and allowing yourself to do things, your body will self-regulate down to probably what your goal weight is or around there. Then in my body will maybe fluctuate 2 to 3 pounds up, 2 to 3 pounds down. So you'll get to a point doing that 80/20 rule where you'll be exactly like me in the sense of like you're not going to worry about like what's your weight at that time. When you have to get super strict is usually when you're trying to lose those last 10 pounds. And I call that the vanity weight. So your body wants to be healthy. So if you're genuinely eating good, so 8 meals out of 10 meals are healthy and 2 meals are unhealthy, you're going to lose weight.
So maybe you could take that to the next level and say,
Yeah.
have a cheat day or a cheat
I
meal.
say a cheat meal.
So on Sunday, maybe have that pizza and don't not
Yeah.
eat it the other 6 days.
Yeah. 100%. Like, so for instance, with alcohol, like I like to have a beer. I like to have a glass of wine. I know that it doesn't make me like excel the next day necessarily. So I only drink like 2 nights out of the week. I pick like a weekend night. So during the week, during the weekdays, I don't drink. Doesn't mean I go binge drink on the weekends, but I'll have 2 beers on a Saturday night and not worry about it.
That's so funny because one of the best things about being in a rock band
Yeah.
when Jacked Up's on the stage, well, I don't drink because I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's like all these gigs have prevented me from drinking as
Yeah.
much alcohol that I normally would have drank if
Yeah.
I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
How
100%.
funny is that?
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is that, and also too, when you're playing, you're burning calories. Like if anything, you need to make sure you have enough protein and like healthy carbohydrates with you when you're on stage.
That's true.
Yeah.
One time I tried the Rick diet,
Yeah.
the meat only
Yeah.
diet,
Yeah.
and I did a show that night, and I felt like I was going to faint.
Yeah. Because your
And I wasn't.
your blood sugar was
I guess he
non-existent.
claims that it takes a long time to become fat adaptive. So it gets to a point where you get used to it and you're burning a different kind of energy.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there yet. So like I was getting those massive headaches because
Yeah.
like my body's like, where's my sugar?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were exerting yourself. Your body was looking for glucose. It was looking for your blood sugar to be elevated. So because that's what, when you need quick energy, that's where carbohydrates come in. That's where glucose comes in. So, yeah, but so you need to make sure that you're an endurance athlete basically when you're on stage. If you tell a cyclist to go out and ride 100 miles, like, and you don't give them any carbs, they're going to bonk, as they say, or they're going to not be able, their muscles won't be able to work anymore.
When I come in for my 7 a.m. class or even my 10 a.m. class, do you think it's good to be fasted when you do a scorch training, or should I have a piece of fruit or some kind of
Have a
carbohydrate?
piece of fruit or carbohydrate before. All the research that's been done showed that fasted exercise doesn't do what it says
Really?
it's do. Yeah.
Because it sounds good. It's like, oh,
Oh, it sounds great.
Like I'm hungry, so like my stomach's
Yeah.
growling, so that means I'm burning fat as
Yeah.
I'm doing sit-ups.
No, because you have this hormone in your body called cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So when you are hungry and you don't feed yourself and then you go exert yourself, your body gets stressed out. And when you're stressed out and your cortisol levels increase, your body goes into something called fight or flight, or the sympathetic nervous system kicks in. And it literally makes it so that your body is counterproductive. It'll be like, nope, like I am stressed. We need to make sure that we utilize all of like this usable glucose right now for this exercise. And then we need to store as much as we can for later. Like it freaks your body out.
So how about this? Little carb before you go.
Yeah.
Little carb after you finish.
Yep.
Like what would you say? What's the best thing to put in your mouth after a strenuous scorch workout? It's the morning.
And it's honestly, I just go home and have breakfast. Go home and have some like oatmeal and some eggs
Not
and
like
some
a
egg
bagel
whites and
or like fruit or like a protein drink.
I would probably, a fruit and a protein drink would be great. Yep. I'd probably stay away from like super processed things like bagels and that kind of stuff. Only because it's going to leave you hungry later. So your body's going to quickly absorb
Isn't that
it.
weird?
Yeah.
You eat pizza, then you're hungry again. It's like, I just ate pizza. Why am I hungry?
Yeah. So that's where it's like, you're not going to get, you want something with like good usable carbohydrates to start the recovery process. You want to get some protein in there. So I always tell people, if you're a morning workout person, like have like a piece of fruit, like have a banana or an apple or something like that. Or like I'll do sometimes I like a little protein and a little carb before I work out. So I'll do like a Greek yogurt, like one with like fruit on the bottom or something like that before the workout. So then I don't feel like I'm gonna puke the entire time. Please.
Don't go to Waffle House and then go to Scorch.
Ew, that's disgusting. For all those who like waffle, I've never been to a Waffle House,
it's
so I can't say
fantastic.
anything. But you, and then after the workout, if it's early morning, go have breakfast, go have oatmeal, go have eggs, go eat
Whole foods.
whole
Foods
foods,
that were come out of the earth.
earth foods. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
as we wrap up,
Yeah.
how can people contact you? What if they want to email you, ask you a question?
Yeah.
How would they contact you?
So they can go to our website, www.scorchfitness.com, SCORCH fitness.com. We also have Instagram, Scorch SRQ is our handle. It's the same thing on Facebook. And then our email is just info@scorchfitness.com.
And do you answer all these emails? Is that you?
Sure do.
Okay.
I
Because
sure
a
do.
lot of people are going to see this show and
Yeah.
they're going to want to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Are you taking personal training clients? Are you training people on the side? Like
Yep. So we
personal-
do. So Scorch actually does personal training between the hours of 11 to 5 and then on the weekends as well. Actually, I think Tyler does after 7 p.m. classes too. He's there in the evening sometimes training people. But yeah, we do one-on-one. And then we also do the group classes.
So if somebody wants to hire you,
Yep.
they can reach out to you.
Yep.
and
They
you
can reach out
discuss
to
it.
me and if and we can go over goals and all that kind of stuff. If I don't have time in my schedule, then I put you with the trainer that actually is the best for you.
I highly recommend personal training, at least for a few sessions,
100%.
only because like you showed me that I have a certain weakness in one of my legs because I
Mhm.
never truly recovered from a surgery.
Yeah.
And it's weaker than the other one.
Yeah.
And it's preventing me from doing things and it needs to be strengthened.
Mhm.
And I think people forget about that. They're like, well, I'm just going to leave it be.
Yeah.
I have scar tissue that maybe wasn't ever broken through.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
can that still be fixed? I mean, can that
Yeah,
still be?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I noticed I can't bend that one particular knee.
The same.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that kind of stuff, that just takes time. Like if we do it too fast, you're going to be in a lot of pain and you're going to hate me. But if we do it over time, you're eventually going to have full range of motion and hopefully that range of motion will be completely pain-free.
So folks, definitely go to Scorch.
Yeah. It's fun.
And get a free session.
Yep.
Right. Try the place out. I guarantee that they're going to love it.
Yeah.
Right. And
hope.
Liz, it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And I'll see
Yeah.
you soon. I'll probably see you tomorrow at
See you tomorrow.
Scorch.
Yeah. At the gym.
All right.
Yeah.